Hello and welcome to Oldie but a Goodie. This is our spooktacular Halloween special where we're talking about the scariest movie of 1984, featuring the scariest ghoul working in cinema at that point, Arnold Schwarzenegger.
Hello, it is me, Arnold Schwarzenegger. I'm here for this episode. Ooh, I am so spooky.
So scary. I am quaking in my boots. Is that a term?
Ooh.
I don't know.
Yes.
We're talking about the Terminator, the first one. My name is Sandra. I'm joined by Zach. How you doing?
Zach, who is Zach? I am Arnold Schwarzenegger. Thank you for having me on the show this week.
This happens every single time we do an Arnie film.
I don't know why, it's real strange.
Also joining us this week is a milestone guest, actually. Our first ever international guest from the Crooked Table podcast. We've got Robert. How you doing?
Pretty good. I feel like I need to answer with my own Arnold impression, though.
Oh, good luck.
Fuck you, asshole.
Oh, God.
Oh, yeah.
That was the appropriate response, I feel.
There you go.
Out of the options.
Yeah, I like that he had like 6 options, and that's the one.
that was probably my favorite scene of the entire movie, where it's just like, options, fuck you, asshole.
We are talking about, the scariest movie of 1984, because it is our Halloween episode, and only one Halloween movie came out, only one horror film, and then we picked the Sci-Fi. So that's what we're doing this week.
To be fair, there was a bit more gore than I remembered.
Oh yeah,
when he just freaking carves himself up. I completely forgot about that. That was pretty spooky. That was Halloween spooksters right there. I was like, that's an eyeball. That's gross.
I feel like this movie is basically a slasher, but with guns and a very high concept plot.
Yeah, 100%. That was my takeaway too.
Yes, very quickly, we'll go around the table. First impressions of the first Terminator movie. Is this the first time you've seen it, or is this the 100th time you've seen it? What are your first impressions on this movie, Rob?
Well, this was definitely not the first time I've seen it. I don't know if it was the 100th, but this is one of those movies that when I was a kid, we used to... whenever my grandparents came over, we would put on like an action movie because they spoke Spanish and English was, their English wasn't so good. So we'd usually put on an Arnold movie or a Stallone movie or whatever. So this is one of those that we used to put on quite a bit. And as a kid, even I saw all the action, not the sex scene, of course, but yeah, all that gore, no problem apparently for my parents. As soon as a nipple comes out, it's a whole different story. But so no, I had seen this many times, and it still holds up. I think some of the effects are. We were talking a little about the eye, the dummy that they use for the Arnold head is. That's the scariest part of the movie.
Yeah.
But for the most part, it's either practical effects that hold up really well, or the stop motion, which I still kind of like just for nostalgic purposes, I guess. But yeah, no, it's a great movie still.
Yeah, the stop motion actually makes it better for me personally, because the old CGI back then that they were trying to jump into is really bad. So the fact that they decided to go with stop motion makes it hold up. I feel it makes it hold up a bit more, It is obvious nowadays, but I feel like they did pretty well back then. I haven't seen this movie in a long time. Like a long time. I'm a Terminator 2 boy. So coming back to this movie, I was like, oh yeah, this movie's pretty good. I should watch this movie more often. He just cut his eyeball out. I didn't like that. I didn't like that at all.
Yeah.
And then he went, fuck you, asshole. And I was like, hell yeah, this movie's great.
It's a good moment, yeah.
Great.
It is interesting because I think pretty much every Terminator fan, or just every James Cameron fan, falls on either side of the fence of Terminator 1 or Judgment Day. I'm very much more a fan of this just because I prefer the Terminator actually being scary, unlike what happens in T2. In my opinion, that's a little bit too much of an action film for me, which is also my issues with Alien, is just it's a little bit too epic. But yeah, I love this first one. Sure, the dialogue's probably not very good for the entirety of the movie, but
What do you mean? Fuck you, asshole.
It's got that, and it's got that scrappy sort of B-movie feel to it that feels... it feels a little transgressive just because it is darker and dirtier and grimier, and then the next one is literally all shiny.
Yeah. But anyway, before we jump into the opening of the proper review, Robert, you do a podcast called the Crooked Table Podcast. Tell us a little bit about what that show is.
Yeah, so every week I have a different guest join me, usually to talk about a movie of their choice. Sometimes it's a more recent one, sometimes it's something from the 40s, and we talk about the world of film from a fresh angle. This year we're very ill-timed, but we're talking about the Harry Potter movies also, one every month, and that's something that we've been doing since last year. We did Star Wars, and it's fun because we get to talk about classics, but B movies. Sandro's been on a couple times. We talked Pop Star, and then we talked Machete.
Yeah.
And Machete Kills in a double kind of a double feature episode. So it's fun because it gives me a chance to connect with other people who love movies, and it's open to critics, fans, everyone's, you go to crookedtable.com/guest to apply to be on the show. So it's open for people that want to come on and talk about a movie that they love. And it's a great time. And we just did I just recorded our first Crooked Roundtable on Hamilton. So it was me and 3 other people geeking out about Hamilton. That's going up like basically election day here in the States. So it's a blast. If you want to check out episodes, they can hear them at crookedtable.com, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, a lot of the podcatchers. So, but yeah, definitely check us out.
Yeah, awesome. Yeah, there will be links in the description, and yeah, it's a very fun show. Always have fun whenever I pop by, and very excited to hear that Hamilton episode as well, because a roundtable in that format sounds like a lot of fun.
Yeah, absolutely. It's something I want to keep doing semi-regularly. It's a lot more work, as you guys can imagine, running a podcast, to have multiple people, and we actually did have a little bit of technical difficulties at times, but yeah, I think it's something worthwhile to do every once in a while. So something I want to continue.
Yeah, we're trying to plan episode 100 right now, which is gonna have like 10 guests, and we're just like, this is a lot of work. So yeah, definitely feel you there with getting multiple guests on. But let's jump into the Terminator. Zach, we of course review movies from 1984 in the week they originally came out in. What else came out this week that we could have picked?
So you had quite a few movies this week. All of them didn't matter. So we had The American Dreamer. A housewife wins a trip to Paris in a mystery writing contest. She loses her memory when she gets hit by a car and begins acting if she were the female detective in her story.
Doesn't sound too bad.
Which sounded very interesting, but once again, didn't matter. The Bloodsuckers from Outer Space, which I still want to do. Farmers in Texas become brainwashed bloodsuckers. Which is classic, so we have to do that at some point.
I looked it up, and I'm pretty sure that was banned from Australian cinemas when it came out.
Yeah, no. I think I've watched it before. I'm not sure. But I've talked about it with people before, and the fact that, it didn't come out, and then there was like a black market for it, apparently.
That happens a lot here in Australia.
Yeah, which is very funny to me.
Oh, dear.
Body Double. A failed actor becomes obsessed with a neighbor and then becomes framed for murder or something.
Great.
Yep. Give my regards to Broad Street. Paul McCartney playing himself, daydreaming about losing an important tape for new music. And then Paris, Texas. A road trip movie about a man who tries to reconnect with his brother and nephew.
Nice.
And can't decide what country he's in. Hey, Lamau.
There's a place called Paris in Texas.
Oh, I know, but it would annoy you if I said that, so I'm going to do it.
Have you seen any of those, Robert?
I have not. I think I've heard of Body Double, but all the other ones I'm now learning exist for the first time. I too am kind of curious about Bloodsuckers from Outer Space, honestly.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's one of those B sci-fi horrors. That's the only movie on that list that I really was like, oh damn, we're not doing that one.
Oh, it looks wild. I'm on Google Images right now, looking up images from it, and oof, the zombie makeup is pretty atrociously amazing.
Yes. It's a B movie for sure.
But let's jump into the Terminator. It was released October 26th, co-written and directed by James Cameron. His second ever feature after Piranha 2, The Spawning, a sequel to the classic horror Piranha. He disowned that movie for a very long time, but it has got a cult following. I saw it with a bunch of friends at a cinema last year, and it is not very good.
I'm shocked.
He's also the director of Aliens, Titanic, Avatar, and True Lies as well, which we did an episode on last year, so check that out if you haven't heard it before. He co-wrote this with his frequent collaborator and also future wife, Gail Ann Hurd. What do you think of James Cameron, Robin?
I'm a big fan of his earlier, his 80s and 90s run. I mean, you just mentioned Terminator, Aliens, Terminator 2 Judgment Day, True Lies. Those are all classic action, action thrillers. Yeah. And I think they all still maintain, a pretty strong following and place within action cinema. Titanic obviously was him going for, prestige, and now he's obsessed with making like 6 million Avatar sequels that no one really asked for. So it's I kind of feel like the James Cameron that made this movie doesn't exist anymore. He is so lost in Pandora.
Oh, just you wait till Alien and Terminator pop out in Avatar 3. Then you're gonna be eating those words straight up.
I mean, true. If it all becomes a shared universe, then I'll be like, son of a bitch, you got me again.
Dude, I can't wait to see one of those blue bastards get shotgun to the face from the Terminator.
Fuck you, asshole.
That would be amazing.
Hell yeah.
A tiny Arnie chest bursts out of whatever the creatures on Pandora are called.
No, that's not what I was asking for.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, I feel like this early James Cameron is so full of energy and ideas, but also is just having fun as well. And I think that fun was kind of lost with Titanic and definitely with Avatar. For the cast, Arnold Schwarzenegger is just the Terminator. We mentioned it earlier in the year, but he was only really known as Conan at this point. So this is kind of his first big breakout role in some ways. I mean, he was popular with Conan, but that was still very much more like of a niche market. So this is when he got that big billboard role, and he's good in this, I think. What do you think?
I mean, I think that this is the perfect role for him because it's limited range, first of all. So he just all he has to do is embody that sort of robotic, monotone way of speaking, which he already does. So that's easy. Like, I feel like this isn't the movie where Arnold is stretching. Our movie where Arnold is stretching is like Jingle All the Way, where he's just like a suburban dad. Where you're like, I don't know.
That made it way better, by the way. Him trying to stretch to be that improves that movie so much.
It does. That is a guilty pleasure, honestly, that movie. But when he tries to play a regular guy is when it doesn't work. When he's playing the Terminator, it plays to his strengths as a movie star, as a persona, as an on-screen presence. I think in a way that really very few of his other movies have.
Minimal talking, naked body shots.
Oh, yes. Yeah. It's interesting because he doesn't have much to say in this, and he is very much a scary presence in the film, but he still has that certain something about him which is very much more prevalent in Judgment Day, where he's just like cracking jokes. He's still got that same energy in this, even though he's basically a slasher villain. He's basically just Michael Myers without the mask. He's walking around shooting people and not saying anything.
Yeah, pretty much.
Then there is Michael Biehn as Kyle Reese, who is in a lot of Cameron movies, including Aliens and The Abyss. I'm on the fence about his performance. What did you think, Zach?
I liked him. I liked him. It was interesting because the most recent I've seen of him was the later Terminator, where they had him as another main character, but it was a different actor, and then not him, but
the one, Genesis.
Yeah, Genesis.
The one with the Doctor Who villain.
Right.
Doctor Who as a villain.
Matt Smith is the entirety of Skynet?
Yes.
What was that movie?
It's not Skynet though. No. That one is Skynet. Then the next one isn't Skynet, which I liked. I liked that they finally let Skynet go, and we're like, yeah, in this reality, it's just called something different. Yeah, he was interesting. I don't know. I was torn. He was definitely a tough, rough boy. He had that cut on his lip. You know, he's a tough boy. I don't know.
It felt like he either turned it up to 11 and was yelling, or turned it down to like a 3 and was very soft. There was no in between.
Yeah, that's true.
I feel like that made sense, though. He had 2 modes. He had action mode and, like, not action mode. Which is what his lifestyle would have brought him up to be, you know?
No, I agree. I agree. I was laughing because when you guys were saying that, I'm picturing in my head him the whole monologue and in the interrogation room at the police department. He's like, "Oh, he's gonna keep coming," blah blah blah, like screaming about the Terminator. And then like the next scene, a few scenes later, he's being all vulnerable and just like, yeah, it's true. He really does. It just there's no modulation between those two extremes, which I guess makes sense. But I think he brings a certain like inherent likability to the role and vulnerability, which I think is obviously really key, considering that Sarah Connor kind of pity fucks him by the end of the movie.
Yeah.
What are your guys' thoughts on the romantic turn that it takes?
It's very rapid, I could say.
It's better than a lot of the garbage erotic films we've done this year, though, so, you know.
Yeah, that's true. Funnily enough, it felt more organic than a lot of the romance films we did. The key point I have is that she turns to believing him earlier on really quickly. She goes from trying to escape his car to, yeah, okay, you're from the future and this thing's trying to kill me, almost instantly. And that was the bit that felt weird to me. Their romance is like, yeah, this guy's come back in time to save me, and that's all he's done. He sacrificed his entire future for this.
Yeah, sure. Pass the time.
Yeah, exactly.
And then, we are talking about her right now, so we may as well bring up Linda Hamilton playing Sarah Connor. This was her big breakout role. The only real big film that she did before this was Children of the Corn in '84. We've already reviewed it. Check out that episode if you want. She was fine in that okay movie that Zach really enjoyed.
Yeah, it was great. Really long. Too long.
Linda Hamilton, obviously great in this.
Yeah, really good. She gets thrown into this mess, and then by the end of the film, she's crushing Terminators, wielding guns, and I thought she was a great actor in this film.
Yeah.
Really did. And I like her in the next one as well.
Yeah?
Yeah, it's all about her evolution. This is the beginning of her journey, and I think that Cameron does a really good job of making that gradual enough that there's not really a single moment where she turns into what's going to be the warrior Sarah Connor in the next one, but that by the end of it, when she has that moment with Kyle where he's injured, where she has to stand up, and that's when she kind of grabs his hand and she's like, "On your feet, soldier," and that's like the first time you hear the Sarah Connor that's going to dominate in Terminator 2, that's been doing all those pull-ups in her padded room for 10 years or whatever.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, she's a complete icon in this for sure.
Oh yeah, definitely.
She's still vulnerable at that stage, but she's vulnerable in the fact she runs, but she plans her run to like run underneath the crusher thing, you know?
Mm-hmm.
For the reception, this film's got 100% on Rotten Tomatoes, 89% audience score as well, very high, 8 out of 10 on IMDb, 4 out of 5 on Common Sense Media, that website where parents say if your kids should watch things. They reckon this movie is suitable for kids 15 plus, although it can be a bit violent at times.
It can.
Just in case for some reason you want to know what they think on Common Sense Media.
Thanks, Common Sense Media.
It cost $6.4 million, which isn't super cheap for a film of this size, but considering what they made, very impressive. What do you think this made worldwide, considering it is a hard R-rated sci-fi? What do you think it made off a $6.4 million budget, Robert?
I feel like I've looked this up before. Isn't it like 40 or something like that? It's 40 something. It's like around there. I'm pretty sure.
What do you think, Zach?
I'm going to go 41, just to make sure I don't lose to the... See, I'll be more close if it's higher than that, you know?
There you go.
You're both quite a bit off, actually. It's 78 million worldwide.
Oh.
But I still was more close. So I win. Easy.
Yeah, everything on this show is a competition. You're right there.
That's crazy.
Yeah, that's pretty good for a sci-fi, almost horror of this this rating. That's very good worldwide numbers.
Yeah, like R-rating movies usually don't do well at all, so that's quite impressive.
Yeah, the 80s were a really weird time, but I'm looking here and now I see that it made 38 domestic, 40 international. So I must have been thinking one of those numbers. But yeah, so this franchise, Rambo, RoboCop, all hard R, ultra violent, all had like either action figures for little kids or animated series. It was a wild time back in the day, and now that just doesn't happen. But
Yeah.
back then, yeah, that was no problem. Go for
Oh,
it.
yeah. These are R-rated movies that got cut. That's so weird.
I always forget that there were like RoboCop toys and they were in like breakfast cereals and stuff around the time, being like, "Hey, take your 5-year-old kid to go see
exactly.
a movie where someone gets shot in the dick. Go do that. Go on."
Yeah. Absolutely.
All right. Well, let's go through the synopsis for The Terminator. It opens in the year 2029, the far future.
Hell yeah. You know it's the future because they got robots and lasers and skulls. Lots of skulls.
So many skulls.
The skull budget is most of the million budget that they had. Getting real-life human skulls was quite difficult, but Cameron made it, you know.
Yeah, they have to find all these volunteers, and it's like, it's a whole process.
Yeah. He had to contact organ donators, graveyards, you know. You had to get everyone involved. It was a big deal, but they got it in the end.
What do you guys think of the future scenes in this movie? Because they're all very blue. They've got that synthy soundtrack behind them. People are yelling. There's stop motion planes everywhere. What do you think of these scenes?
I feel like these are the scenes in the movie where you can feel the constraints of the budget a little bit. I think you just see a bunch of people wearing rags and running around basically like run down areas, and like you guys said, all the skulls. And I think it's effective, but I don't think it quite captures the scope of what Cameron's going for. At least in this one, I feel like in the second one, obviously he's got CG to play with, so there's a lot more. There's a lot more Terminators in the glimpse that we get of the future war in the next film. So I think it works, but I think that's probably where you can tell that he had limited resources to work with.
Yeah, definitely.
I think he did really well with what he had, though, and I quite enjoy the sort of quaintness of the stop motion, and like they did the best what they could, and it gives off the vibe of this dystopian future where these robots are going around lasering humans, like that poor one soldier that gets yeeted. R.I.P. Rest in peace, soldier. Your sacrifice was not in vain.
Or maybe it was. We don't know.
Who knows what the future looks like? Maybe that will be. Maybe we'll be running around in rags, fighting jittering robots that shoot lasers. You never know.
Maybe we will be flying around in ships that look like they were filmed one frame at a time.
Yeah, you never know.
Who knows?
Well, doesn't he say at one point that he served in the military or something like 2021 to 2027? So we're right around the corner. It's coming up fast.
After this moment, we get the opening credits, which, again, compared to Terminator 2, not as good. You can definitely see the budget constraints. It's still pretty good though. The font's good. It's nice.
Yeah. What did you think of the font, Sandro?
It's alright. It's alright. It's fine. It's not as bad as Speed. Speed's the worst font, and I'll compare everything to Speed.
I think you mean best font. I liked it. It was thick. It was future films, or like sci-fi films, I should say, always have these weird thick fonts that they're going for, because in the future, the font is thick and short for some reason. Wow, it's the future. That's how it works. So yeah, it was a classic, very iconic, and we get to see it a few times in the film. When specifically in that one scene where he says "fuck you, asshole," which is great.
No, I love the font. I love the theme, the Brad Fiedel the theme music that's now iconic. That every single of the 14 single sequels that they made, they always throw it in there just to be like, look, it's Terminator. Remember how great we used to be? We can get back there eventually, right? I'm like, sure, keep trying. But I just kind of to speak on the music for a minute too. There's a lot, like going back to what we were saying as far as him being essentially a Michael Myers in sunglasses instead of a mask. There's a lot of those like horror stings that are like all of a sudden, like as they're in a car chase and things like that. And I think that helps sell the tone of this really being more of a horror movie than anything else.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah. There's a lot of music moments that do feel like they're out of like a Nightmare on Elm Street or something like that. Yeah.
Which, speaking of, they didn't release until a few weeks after this. Which I don't know who at New Line decided to release their horror movie in like mid-November when everybody's over Halloween. But sure.
Yep, those are coming up. We may be doing an actual Halloween special halfway through November. Because
yay!
I don't know what they were thinking, but yeah, all of the slashes were delayed very, very late in the year after Halloween, which is great. So the movie is set in 1984. How does the movie open, Zach, in the 80s?
Well, you see, there's this fella. He's driving his truck. He's having a great time. Except it's not so great because then his truck is like doesn't work, and he's like, "Oh man, this truck, it's not even working. Oh, this is bullcrap. Hey, what's that electrical thingy over there?" And then we cut to outside the truck where everything's going haywire with electricity, and we see a naked Arnold Schwarzenegger.
Yep, it's good. I like it.
It's a good time. I love it because we then get a panning shot of him looking over the city while we see the shot of his ass. Thanks, Arnie.
It's an interesting decision that you have to time travel naked because, of course, anything dead comes off you. What are the rules? I don't know.
Yeah, they try and explain it in the later films, and it doesn't work. It doesn't work. So only organic tissue can go through, but so that's why the Terminator has to have like a casing of organic.
I believe it's something like that. Yeah, they're also infiltrators, so I think the fact that they actually have. He even mentions at one point, Kyle does, that the Terminators have bad breath. Apparently.
Oh yes, he does say that. Yeah.
And sweat, and it's just to really be able to blend in with us.
You know what would be a better way to blend in as a Terminator going back in time, though? When you arrive at your destination wearing clothes, then you can just blend in. Then no one notices you. So, you know.
Or not looking like Arnold Schwarzenegger.
Look, that as well.
Here's an idea. What if you send a Terminator back that can, like, morph and, like, change into different forms, and then it could just change into its clothes. Oh, wait, that's the next movie. Never mind.
Yep, that is the next one. It's a great opening scene, though, because he comes across all of the street punks. There's the blue hair guy, Bill Paxton, is there with his blue spiky hair. Mm-hmm. He says, "I think that this guy's a couple cans short of a six-pack." Great line. Just get him in there to say that line. Then Arnie kills them all.
Out for a stroll, are we?
Nothing clean. Yeah. Laundry day, nothing clean.
Yeah. Am I right? Your clothes, give them to me. He's like, which the guy goes immediately, "Fuck you, asshole!" And they really turn on him. They were having a great time, and then Arnie's like, "Give me your clothes," and it just goes south. He's just not a great talker, you know?
I wonder if that's where the Terminator learned "fuck you, asshole," though. Because that's how he adds that to his options.
I absolutely believe that he heard that, and then that's why the computer decided that was the appropriate response. You know?
Yeah.
All right. So when he is replying to that cleaner, he's not trying to be mean. He's just using the only Earth response that he knows. He probably thinks he's asking him to go away nicely.
Yeah. That's what he's learnt so far being in this world. So he's just doing what he learns.
It's a bit of a good reflection on humanity, actually, that moment then.
I was just thinking that.
It tells you a lot about society. And so he gets the best leather jacket outfit just ever. It's fantastic.
Speaking of all of the various Arnie Terminator outfits, which is your favorite, Robert? Is it this one, or is it T2, or dare I say T3?
It's probably T2, which is like in a lot of ways, T2, what I love about that movie is this movie, but like tweaked a little bit. And it's that film is like 40% remake anyway. It's just, sharpened and polished and better effects, et cetera, et cetera. It's definitely not the glasses he gets at the beginning of T3, the sort of, what is it, like stars or something? That they have that
that's right.
callback to the previous movie where he gets, so that's a whole other conversation, the third one.
I'm definitely a T2 boy, but I quite liked his get-up in this one. Obviously, I think the scene is more iconic in 2, where he's like, give me your clothes, your boots, and your motorcycle,
Yeah, definitely.
But yeah, it's still good.
That is interesting, though, that every Terminator movie, aside from maybe Salvation, is essentially, in terms of the structure, just a remake of this one.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, if it ain't broke.
I mean, from the last 3 films, I think we know that it might actually be broke, though.
Because they changed the format, and then that broke.
So Kyle Reese also appears in the present, past, the 80s, when the movie is set. He also appears, and he steals a homeless man's pants.
There's 2 things I noticed in this. One, that he's scarred up. He's pretty scarred up on his back. You see weird sort of scars, which I thought was good. 2, that he's like writhing in pain when he pops out. Unlike the Terminator, who obviously didn't care.
Yeah.
I
I love that scene, though, because he's running from the police, goes to hide in a clothing store of some kind, and then just sneaks around the clothing store stealing clothes for like a couple minutes.
While the cops are around.
Well, yeah,
It's impressive.
can't expect him to keep the homeless guy's pants on forever. I mean, come on.
But yeah, no, he would obviously be pretty good at sneaking because he's been hiding from literal robots. So I thought it was cool that he could just sneak around this store full of cops and none of them noticed him.
Some of the dialogue in this section isn't,
Amazing.
questionable. What did you think of some of the dialogue between the cops and him in this role?
I mean, it's all classic 80s cop movie stuff, basically. Like, when people make fun of that now, this is exactly the kind of thing that they're talking about. I mean, in Sarah's roommate and that some of her whole thing, which I feel like feeds the slasher movie deal, because it has the whole conceit of, if you have sex in this movie, you're going to die. Unless you're conceiving the savior of humanity, I guess.
She's just a horror victim.
Yeah.
Through and through. She's constantly listening to music so she can't hear anything, and she has sex. Those are the 2 things that you need to do.
She's
to die.
Tina from Elm Street, basically.
Speaking of Sarah Connor, we are introduced to her walking to her work. She ties up her bike and then walks past the restaurant's mascot and says, "Guard it for me, Big Buns," which is a good scene because the mascot's holding 2 big burgers.
I missed that. Wow, amazing.
There's also the child who just drops ice cream in her apron for no reason other than to be a dick, basically.
What a piece of shit.
Yeah, she's had a pretty shitty life before this.
Oh,
yeah, that kid. What child gives up ice cream that it's actively
Right?
eating to sabotage someone else's apron? Like, what a piece of shit. I hated that child.
Yeah, most unrealistic part of the movie. You're right.
The real villain.
The real villain.
That's the one good thing about the dystopian future. That kid no longer exists.
Well, but then again, no more ice cream, I'm assuming, either. So
That's true.
Yeah, and no more of these tragic accidents that can occur.
Another one of my favorite scenes is directly after this as well, where Arnie is buying a bunch of guns at a gun store, and he just knows everything about them.
Because he's obviously got, like, uploaded all the guns or whatever from the time. So he's just like, I need this one, this one, this one, this one. Give me the Gauge 42, the Uzi 511, and the guy's like, man, you know your guns. Wow.
I was gonna say that's also Dick Miller from Gremlins, which you guys have already covered.
Yeah. He's great.
Yeah.
In that one scene, yeah.
Yeah, he's great because he's like, how much? Which one do you want? And he's like, all of them. And he's like, oh man, I'm gonna close early. Oh yeah, you are. You're gonna close real soon.
Yeah, he closes super early, that guy.
Yeah. because he dies.
Yeah, he dies.
We got it.
Artie loads the gun that he just got and shoots them.
And he doesn't have to pay for them, so there's that.
Yeah, it's a good plan.
He's learning.
I don't think they leave ammo on the counter nowadays, though.
That was probably a bad move, yeah.
Yeah, that was...
Yeah, you'd think.
I don't mean to, question the Terminator in this scene, though, but if he was going to kill the gun store owner anyway, why not do it at the start and then just grab all the guns you want? You don't have to get him there.
Get the owner to get them. I think the owner had to get things from the back as well,
And then continuing on with the horror theme, he then goes to a phone book and finds where all of the different Sarah Connors live, and then goes and terminates them all. Which I forgot happens in this movie. But yeah, the horror element is just prevalent throughout the entire film. I mean, it really is, a slasher, but with guns instead of a knife or something.
It's cool. I really like this, because it makes sense. You go through the phone book, and you just kill all the Sarah Connors. There you go. Done.
Yeah, and Kyle explains later on that they didn't have the records from back then, and then they just had the city. So he just, like a machine, process of elimination. I guess luckily this Sarah Connor was, the last woman listed in the telephone directory, so that works.
Look, she's the first on the list. Bang. All right, that's the end of the movie. She's dead.
Yeah, right?
Yeah, I wonder what the body count of this movie is, because a lot of people die. It's got to be probably...
Which part? The dystopian future where everyone's dead?
Oh, that as well. Yeah, okay. Didn't think about that.
Yeah. Billions.
Because there's 3 Sarah Connors, there's that one soldier, there's gun store owner.
Yep, all the cops.
On IMDb, it's somewhere in the trivia, which again, who knows how accurate that is. It says 28.
28?
The punkers, it's literally what it says, the punker, the gun store owner, the first 2 Sarah Connors, Matt and Ginger, 3 of the people at the nightclub, 17 police officers, Sarah's mom, and the truck driver. But that seems kind of iffy.
Yeah, there you go.
And then Kyle Reese.
Oh, yeah, and then, of course, Kyle Reese. Yeah, interesting.
Spoiler alert. Oh, God, spoilers. Oh, my God.
Yeah. Spoilers.
Oh, my God.
Oh, I guess Kyle Reese's virginity also dies.
Ooh, it's true. R.I.P.
29.
That poor man.
So after this, I was very interested to see what you thought of this, Robert, because as soon as he kills the first Sarah Connor, we cut to the lead of the movie, Sarah Connor, at work, watching a news report on it. Immediately, the news are reporting on it. What did you think of that?
They gotta save some time here. So apparently Sarah Connor is. It's weird because the movie already treats Sarah Connor like it's a big deal. The first Sarah Connor has been killed. All Sarah Connors, lock your door. It's it makes it's in the world of the movie, Sarah Connor is apparently already a big deal. But then I love how how fast it turns into basically they're identifying the Terminator as a serial killer. Yeah, that it's immediately just kind of goes into manhunt mode. Which I find really fascinating. And of course, I think her roommate has that line oh, guess what, honey? You're dead.
Yes.
Come check this out. Ha, look, you died, idiot.
So she goes back home, and the phone call scene is probably the first long joke in the movie, where Ginger, her roommate's boyfriend, calls up. What happens, Robert? What is this joke?
Oh, boy, you're giving me this?
Yeah, describe in detail.
No, we will not be describing in detail. But I feel like, weirdly, this is the only moment in the movie that our Sarah Connor is actually enjoying herself. She's actually enjoying life. She's having a laugh. She feels she's having someone express their in romantic interest in her. She has the upper hand for the first and only time in the movie until the end when she takes out the Terminator, basically. Yeah. And so, no, I really love that scene where Mark is, I think it's Mark, is basically whoa. So it's I'm not going to get into it, but it's the whole, here's what I'm going to do first. And he has a to-do list of what the evening will entail for Ginger. No, I think that scene is so funny. It feels like the kind of thing that could have easily been cut out, but I'm glad that Cameron left it in there just because it does humanize Sarah quite a bit.
Yeah.
I feel like that's a bit mean to poor Soldier Boy. I'm sure that sex scene was also a bit where she enjoyed herself. Like, come on.
Well, that's true.
He probably did a good job. Like, come on. Why are you going to be to the all that? I'm sure she enjoyed herself.
But that seemed like the bright spot of her pre-Terminator life. Let's put it that way.
Yeah.
Everything else was just like, she's like getting Peter Parkered everywhere. Just like, oh man, everything sucks.
Yes. She was getting Peter Parker. That's a good adjective. I like that. I'm going to use that more.
Don't you hate it when you get Peter Parkered?
So she heads off to a movie, which is a bad thing because the cops are investigating the Sarah Connor killer. That is a tough thing to say. And are trying to get a hold of her. But they can't, because she's at the cinema.
Meanwhile, Mike and the roommate...
A ginger, yeah.
And they're playing music really loud while they're banging.
Of course.
A classic. So they don't hear the cops calling up.
And we then cut to the police station, and they're like, all right, that didn't work. We'll try and contact her through the media. And then there's a yo mama joke for no reason.
Yes! Yo mama!
But then, she's at a bar. She sees the police are trying to contact her on the news. So she tries to find a phone, but while doing so, realizes that Carl Reese is following her.
So she does a bit of quick thinking and hops into a nightclub.
Yeah.
I love the movie logic that she's safe when she's in the movie theater, but going to the nightclub might kill you.
Yeah. Should have sticked in the movie theater.
I think that's an interesting takeaway. Oh, and the fact that the club is named Tech Noir, which is basically kind of what this movie is genre, I guess, is sort of that techno noir slasher sort of deal.
Yeah.
Oh, I like their answering phone. Every time it answers, it's like, tricked you. This is an answering machine. But hey, you can talk to the answering machine. Machines need some love, you know? A. Lamau. I love those subtle jokes that they put in throughout the film. I'm a big fan.
Speaking of, the answering machine, this is when Arnie goes over to the apartment and kills them both. This is just a horror moment scene, really, the way that he kills them. Yeah.
You have lady dancing in the kitchen, listening to music, can't hear her boyfriend being murdered. Meanwhile, boyfriend's like, oh, I'm gonna mess you up, buddy.
He does say that, yeah.
Tries to stop the Terminator with a lamppost. Somehow that doesn't work. He dies and then smashes through a window or whatever. And then lady's like, oh man, wait a minute, my boyfriend's getting murdered. That's rather upsetting, actually. And then she dies.
Pretty intense, especially considering that I think we were all pretty young when we saw this for the first time. This is some intense, violent stuff.
But even as a kid, I know. Well, if you listen to music too loudly, you're gonna die. That's just how it happens. That's what I was told as a kid. It was pressed into me by all these movies. That to this day, I never listen to music too loudly in case a slasher villain's nearby. You know?
So then after that, Arnie heads to the nightclub as well. We get the scene where she's there on the phone. She's noticing that Carl Reese is there and thinks that Carl Reese is the phone book killer, as he has been dubbed at this point.
Well, he does look like a killer because he's a soldier, you know? He's got scars and other things, and he does look at him very creepily.
Yeah. I mean, again, these are all things that the second one also does, where... that scene where, again, if you didn't know based on the marketing that Arnold was playing the hero, the sequel sort of plays it out like, oh shit, it's Arnold and he's after her again, but then does the same kind of trick of reversing who the hero is and who the villain is. Yeah, it's a lot of the same tricks that Cameron uses in the sequel. Yeah. There's a moment in the second one where Arnold, Arnold's Terminator is talking to the T-1000, both pretending to be different people. So yeah, there's that moment as well,
which is great. Again, good. T2, it's great.
It is.
It really just improves on everything.
It is.
It's good. This one's better though, but it's good.
Yeah, look.
That is a hill I'm gonna die on. All right.
The thing is, I saw Terminator 2 first. and it's ingrained in me.
So yeah, they're at the club, and then Arnie goes to shoot Sarah, and she's like, "Oh no, this is the bad dude all along." And then Kyle Reese is like, "All right, I'm gonna come and save you." And then we just get this very, very long shootout. It's pretty intense. It goes on for a while.
Oh, it's great.
And then there's a classic line in here as well, isn't there, Robert?
Oh yes, come with me if you want to live. Again, which is reprised ad nauseum in every one of those, like I'll Be Back and Hasta La Vista, that they keep remixing in subsequent films. But yeah, it has that impact here because we've never heard it before, unless we've seen T2 first, which I think I did as well, honestly.
Yeah.
But it's interesting how that started off as a non-Arnie line.
Yeah.
And then was moved on to Arnie, which is cool. I like it.
That's true. That is very true. Yeah, didn't even think about that. Then the chase continues as they go to a car. We got Kyle Reese and Sarah Connor in a car, and then Arnie's chasing them in a cop car. Yeah, like from this moment onwards, I mean, really from the nightclub scene to about an hour into the movie, the action never lets up. It's constant for the rest of the film, pretty much.
Oh yeah, even in the dull scenes, they get some action. You know what I'm saying? But it's good. No, it's good. I love the chase scene, and then he uses the cop radio to be able to locate things, and like he uses the voice modulating thing to like reply on the radio as well.
Yep.
And like immediately when on the cop radio goes, "Oh, suspect car found in blah, blah, blah." We see the Terminator instantly turning around the car to go to the exact spot.
On top of that as well, what did you think of the majority of the exposition actually coming during this quite tense action sequence?
I mean, I like that. I think the backstory is really interesting, and I liked seeing Sarah Connor's reaction to it. And it's like we were saying earlier, how all of a sudden she's like, "Oh, okay, that explains it."
Yeah.
but then later on, when they have Kyle in the interrogation room, she's sort of like negotiating in her head, where she's like, "Well, maybe maybe it's not a future thing. Maybe it's just some crazy guy." Like she's trying to suss it out in her head. And I think is a little bit of denial. Like, wait, no, this can't happen. She's like, she has that whole moment towards the end, where she's like, "Oh, I'm not the mother of the future. Like, look at me. I don't even know how to balance my checkbook," she says. So I think she's in denial of her own potential, I think. And I think it's really interesting to see her soak that in and just be like, "Sure, okay, I guess this is what we're rolling with, is that there's a robot after me, and yeah, we're going where? This way, left? Okay, cool."
Yeah.
So yeah, I love that, and getting that glimpse later on to, which I'm sure we'll get to, where with the flashback and Kyle's sort of perceived connection to Sarah.
Yeah, which is another good moment as well. And then yeah, also that she's going to be the mother of John Connor. It seems like in this future, Sarah is alive for a lot of the resistance as well. That's what I kind of picked up as well, that she was alive for a lot of the robot uprising, which I don't think is the case in the future we see in like T3.
Yeah, it changes.
Yeah, at some point she dies, but I can't remember when.
Yeah, each time they send a Terminator back to try and do something, it changes the sort of thing, which is just a whole can of worms to try and dive into. But
Oh yeah.
let's
pretty much
swim to shore real quick.
Pretty much the only part of this franchise that everyone accepts as canon is the first two movies. And then after T2, you can either go Sarah Connor Chronicles, the show, or T3, or Dark Fate, or Genesis. It's just like, whatever, choose your poison.
They're all canon. They're just different universes.
Yeah, I guess so.
Yeah.
split timelines and alternate realities.
Yeah.
It's fine, and we can fix this. Put patches. Keep naming theories. We can fix this.
They'll do a Terminator multiverse eventually, and then just make it all make sense.
Oh no.
Oh, that would be. I want to see like 12 Arnold Schwarzeneggers just going at each other.
That would be cool. I'd also love to see Linda Connor going up to Jai Courtney's car race and just being like, "You're a very different person."
Yeah. This can't be Kyle Reese. This is Captain Boomerang.
Yeah.
That's like the only character he has really right now, right?
Yeah, pretty much.
Gotta love me some Captain Boomerang, though.
He's good.
Oh.
Real Australian.
He is good as Captain Boomerang, to be fair.
He is.
Yeah. He is the best part of any of those movies that he's a part of.
But anyway, back to the film. Arnie drives his car directly into a wall, which is great.
I didn't know if he knew road rules at all. If that was a thing. Was there a scene where he disobeys road rules?
I don't think there's a future scene where he gets a ticket or anything like that. No.
Oh, no. That's not exactly what I was looking for, but yeah.
That would be a great scene, though. He's driving along, and then a Terminator pulls him over and is like, hey, you're not obeying the road rules.
Do you know how fast you are going? License and registration, please. They can use it in the multiverse crossover. See, there you go.
Oh, yes. RoboCop. Wait.
Oh.
That's already a thing.
No, see, what they need to do, there's all these sci-fi action series from the 80s that are all, like, messed up. There's one or two good ones, and then everything has been trying to recapture that. So we just need to get Terminator, RoboCop, Alien, and Predator, and just be like, all coexisting. Go for it. Make it happen.
You could literally have a Terminator movie where, like, multiverse, where he is RoboCop, where Skynet makes these RoboCops.
Yeah, there you go.
Oh, well, that also works because if you're putting Alien in there, Alien's definitively connected to Blade Runner as well through Prometheus, so
It's true.
there's just cyborgs there as well.
You can connect them all up, and then you have RoboCop, Arnold Schwarzenegger versus Alien versus Predator.
I mean, it's no worse than anything any of those franchises have come out with in the last like 20 years for the most part.
If you're gonna go ham, you go the full hog.
Exactly.
All right? Yeah, don't stop at one series.
That's right.
Just gonna then you have like the Avatar aliens, flying around. And everything. You get them all in here.
Put them all in there. Throw in Freddy versus Jason as well. They're there for no reason, having their own little battle on the side.
There you go.
Yeah.
Just all the movies with a V in them. Batman versus Superman, they're in there as well.
We could be on a spaceship, and then in the background of that spaceship, we see Freddy and him battling it out in the background.
He's just trying to get into like Terminator dreams, but it's not working because they obviously don't dream. It's like, oh no, I'm useless.
Yeah.
But we know that replicants dream. So
they do.
there you go.
Yeah. They dream of electric sheep, according to
They do, indeed.
the book that it's based off.
Now it's going to be very scary, sharp-fingered sheep, question mark.
I think we've already come up with the sequel.
I think so. I think we just did.
So now that Arnie is supposedly dead because he drove into a wall, Kyle Reese and Sarah Connor get taken to the police station. We mentioned this scene before, but Kyle Reese is interrogated, and really, he probably could have done a better job at making himself seem sane, probably.
Yeah, but that's not exactly what he's trained for, I feel.
No, that's true.
He's not trained for interrogation. He's trained to kill things. I liked the psych doctor where he's like, wow, this guy's elaborate. His story's incredible.
I can make my career off of him. Yeah.
He covers all his bases. It's great. It's almost like it's true. What a nutcase.
I feel like that's also James Cameron sort of like patting his screenwriting on the back a little bit. Like, yeah, you're right. It all holds together, man.
Yeah. Oh, that is funny. I didn't think about that. Yeah, he's like, yeah, this story's airtight, and I'm going to point it out. Job done.
That is so true. I didn't think of that.
But yeah, no. So he's having a great time with this. The cops are all like, ha! What a loon.
Yeah, they do say that at some point. They say, in the technical terminology, he is a loon.
They have the like tape of him admitting all this stuff, and then he gets like super violent and like, oh, we should probably turn that off in front of, the victim here who's standing there watching this.
Yeah, that's true.
Because they're being real comforting. They're like, hey, it's all right. You're safe now at the cop place. Nothing bad could happen here. We got 30 cops on standby. What's the worst that could happen?
Well, they all die. Spoilers, they're all dead.
They are.
Well, at least 17 of them, according to
IMDb.
Yeah.
And then the psych doctor lives again to show up in the next two, actually.
Yeah.
He does, doesn't he?
Yes, he does. Which I think is why of the options we have, I do just throw Terminator 3 in there as the end of the franchise. Sandra, we talked about on Machete how I'm obsessed with trilogies. So I just take Terminator 3 and be like, all right, that'll be it. And I feel like the fact that he pops up briefly in there is why I'm just like, okay, well, this has to be canon. Because you got Dr. Silverman in there. You got John Connor, okay, Sarah Connor, Kyle Reese, and a Terminator. Dr. Silverman. Oh, okay, there you go. All the boxes are checked.
Perfect.
We're good.
Yeah.
To be fair, though, Terminator 3 does have a very good ending. I really like the ending of that movie. So, yeah.
It totally redeems everything that came before it.
Yeah.
Well, mostly.
The sunglasses I'm still iffy on.
Sunglasses were the best bit. I don't know about you guys. But yeah, no, any movie without the psych doctors, non-canon. For sure.
Exactly.
That's true. But meanwhile, Robert, what is Arnie doing in his apartment?
He has a little bit of eye surgery going on, which, again, like we mentioned earlier, the effect that has aged the most poorly, by far, is that prosthetic head that they have going on there. It's still very icky when he pulls off the outside covering of his eye.
Man, I was not ready.
No, I know. Every time I watch it, I'm like, oh, that's right. He gets right in there and just crams it out with the scalpel.
It's some good effects.
How did you guys feel about the effect of the Terminator's, I guess, neck and shoulders and that whole apparatus?
Yeah, it's probably the part that's aged the worst out of this movie, eh?
I feel like Cameron was really confident about it, though, because they show it later on. Like, it shows up in quite a few shots.
It does, yeah.
Well, maybe there's some lore behind this, you see, because they talk about the synthetic Terminators or whatever, how they were really easy to spot. They were really shiny and stuff. But also, he's cutting up all his skin and, bleeding everywhere. Maybe the skin that's on him just died, which is why he looks so pale and gross and weird.
I think,
Yeah, well, later on, they do show that there are flies all over him, and it seems like his flesh, at least around the face, is kind of rotting.
Yeah.
Well, yeah. And the cleaning person even says, what do you got, a dead cat in there or something? So there's clearly a smell happening as well. The one that he tells to fuck you, asshole. That guy. So yeah, I think there is there.
But oh boy, I really enjoyed the gore scene. That's for sure. Mm-hmm. It really made me cringe. Every time he picked up the scalpel, I was like, oh no, stop. Oh god. Oh.
He's going back in.
Oh, why would you? Oh god, Cameron. No. Oh. Oh.
It is a bit like that, though. I've been watching the Ridley Scott TV show Raised by Wolves recently, and there is so much gore in that show, and I'm fine with it. But as soon as one of the robots pulls out their eye, I'm like, oh no, don't do that.
Oh, Cameron.
What are you doing? Stop with the eye stuff.
It's a good time.
So she then goes to sleep on the couch, Sarah Connor, that is, on the couch in the police headquarters, while Arnie rocks up again. This is where we get the classic line, "I'll be back," because he's turned away at the front desk.
I'm a friend of Sarah Connor. I'd like to see her. Hey, can I see my friend Sarah Connor? I don't want to shoot her. Nope. Okay.
Yeah.
I'll be back.
Totally inconspicuous.
Yeah, very, very inconspicuous. This giant dude with sunglasses.
It's interesting that the "I'll be back" line became so famous based off the scene that it's in, not really being anything too special.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it is an interesting line there, though. It's funny because he's like, "I'll be back," and then 2 seconds later, he's ramming the car through the doors. So it's a pretty great line.
It's a good moment. I was, I think, too young to remember exactly how that became as big a thing, but I do remember in the teaser for the sequel, it does end with him popping up and saying something like, "I said I'd be back," or like as if the sequel is like mythologizing the line in and of itself. So I wonder how much of that was really perpetuated by the next movie.
Well, there was 8 years in between the two, maybe, or 7?
7.
Yeah.
91.
Yeah, you're right. Because that definitely would have helped the line become more famous because they reference it in the advertisement. And that would have had more effect on pop culture back then.
Oh, definitely.
So
for sure.
So that would have immortalized the line because it referenced it, let alone the people already quoting it as well.
Now, Terminator 2, Robert, was that also an R-rated film over in America?
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay.
And I'm not 100% sure, but I think I saw that in theaters.
Nice.
At the age of, I would have been 8 at that time. So
Ah, yes, my favorite family-friendly movie. Yeah.
well, I mean, my parents were like, "Well, they have toys of it. How bad could it be?"
Yeah.
Yeah, it's pretty good logic. I mean, if they make toys of it.
But yeah, so yeah, it was definitely R-rated. I feel like there's a few moments of kind of R-rated level violence in that one, but it's definitely I feel like toned down from here.
Yeah.
In part because by that point Arnold was such a huge star, and so he ended up playing the hero, and John Connor immediately gives him that we don't kill anybody, so he's just shooting kneecaps for most of the movie.
Yeah.
But yeah,
great.
it definitely was R.
Okay.
I think it would probably be MA nowadays.
In Australia, it's actually M in Australia, which is closer to PG-13. Yeah, these are both M in Australia. In classic Australian fashion, the reason this Terminator movie is rated the equivalent of PG-13 is because there's a sex scene, not because of the violence.
Yep.
That doesn't matter. We don't care about that.
Yeah, but banging? My God!
How dare they?
2 people having sex? We can't have that. No. Anyway, continue with the eyeball gouging. That's good.
Yeah, that's
Keep
fine.
going.
That's fine. Kids can watch that. In fact, we will have a McDonald's Happy Meal toy where you can pull out the eye yourself. That's fine.
Yeah. Add some cops to shoot. That sounds good.
Oh, God. Going back to the scene, though, he does ram a car right through the front of the police station, then walks on through. This is the first time we see his robo-vision as well.
Yeah, that's sweet. This scene's awesome.
Yeah.
He just walks through and mows down people, and they're all panicking, and they try to do anything. But he like casually strolls through. It's very like, I like when villains like Darth Vader and other things, they just take their time. They slowly, methodically move through an area, just destroying everything in their path,
But Sarah Connor, is reunited with Kyle Reese at this moment. They make a run for it. They pretty much just jump in a car and drive as far as they can before they run out of fuel, and they very quickly lose him. So yeah.
I'd like to shout out to that one guard that was completely useless at stopping Carl from escaping. We see the scene where they're panicking, they're going off, and the chief of police goes like, keep an eye on this guy, and then turns around, and immediately the guard gets like knocked out and his keys stolen. Like the second he says keep an eye on this guy,
Yeah.
he's down for a count.
It's true.
So he does save the film by being very poor at his job.
So they drive and drive and drive until they can't drive no more. They decide to rest underneath a bridge, and this is where we get another flashback sequence, the one that you mentioned before, Robert, where we see, I guess, more of a tender moment between Kyle and a photograph.
This is a good one.
I really, I like that moment a lot. I think you finally start to understand a little more about Kyle Reese and his motivation, because he does say that he volunteered to do this mission, and now we finally understand why. Plus, there's the whole other element that John Connor, who knew about his dad, sent his dad back to fuck his mom and conceive him.
Yeah.
So it's like, it's sort of... Sarah Connor says it towards the end of the movie. She says, a person could go crazy thinking about this. I'm like, yeah, we can. We've obsessed over it for like 30 years. We're like, wait a minute. How does that even work? But yes, no, I do like that. And it explains a lot about Kyle Reese and where he's coming from and why he's so focused on the soldier side of him, because he doesn't really have a whole lot else going on.
Yeah.
Hey, Dad, here's a picture of Mom. You gotta fuck her eventually and make me. It's gonna be a great
Yeah, he's
time.
like, here, I'm going to give you this so you can, beat off to it for a while until I eventually send you back to meet her, and then you'll be all primed and ready to go.
Get in some good practice,
Exactly.
Yeah, exactly.
I also liked, though, with the photo at the very end as well, in what might be the only sweet moment in the movie is when we find out that when the picture was taken, she was thinking about Kyle as well, which is a nice moment. I think that's a really nice little moment they put in there.
It all loops around, which is wacky, because she's thinking about Carl's death in the photo, and that photo is what's given to him to look at. And he's like, why does she look so sad? I'll never know. And it's at your own death, and it's like, what?
Yeah.
Time travel. Stop. God, you hurt my brain cells.
We then cut to the morning. Kyle and Sarah head off to a hotel to freshen up, buy supplies.
Oh yeah, they get real fresh.
Yeah, they do.
Fresh with that nitroglycerin. That's it. It was nitroglycerin.
They
I
do
remembered it.
nitroglycerin.
Yeah.
Let's say things go off with a bang. You know what I'm saying?
Well, I mean, he does say, I came across time for you. So, respect, because that's a pretty solid line.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And also, compared to every other sex scene we've seen this year, this one's definitely more tasteful. There's no, lingering shots or anything that make you feel like, oh, that director's been a bit weird. There's none of that, which is, props to James Cameron.
Also, they have to do it. Otherwise, good old future's kind of ruined.
It's true.
So it's for the future,
But I'll tell you what, they aren't the only ones coming, because Arnie's coming as well.
Whoa.
He...
That was not... No, thank you.
He's killed Sarah's mum.
That was not the segue I wanted. No.
I wrote that segue down in my notes. I have had this plan since yesterday.
Nice.
Oh, that makes it so much worse. Oh, jeez.
It does make it worse, doesn't it? Yeah.
Yep.
Has he killed Sarah Connor's mum? What do you think, Robert? Because it's all off screen.
It could be. I mean, it's implied. He's clearly answering her phone, and as we saw at the police station, he doesn't exactly like, "Excuse me, ma'am, can I use your phone for a minute? Let me get that." He's just gonna blow right in there and take over that space. So I mean, I think it's, unless she was at the market or something, and I think it's supposed to be like the middle of the night. I would say for the most part, it's pretty safe to assume she's not in the best of shape.
Yeah.
Let's put it that way.
That's true.
Because he definitely interacted with her because he has her voice.
That's true.
That's true.
Yeah.
Good point.
For the phone call. And I hate to put this on the Terminator, but he's not exactly a sociable person. He's not really a meet you and not murder you sort of guy.
Right, exactly.
So I hate to say it, but I suspect she might be dead.
Yeah. He drives over to the motel. We get another very long chase through a tunnel where he's chasing on a motorcycle there in a car. Goes on for, a while, and it's really good. It's a great sequence.
I like this thing. This is a thing we didn't mention, but dogs can smell Terminators. So whenever they smell one, they start barking. And so in the flashback, we see that he goes through the security that they have, which is they ask whose name it is, and then they let people in, and then there's dogs right at the front. And then later on, more people get let in, but the dogs start barking, and immediately Carl's up and at him. He pulls out his gun because he knows for a fact that there's a Terminator. And then we see it's revealed there's a Terminator, and he starts shooting people. But in this scene, at the hotel, there's another dog. And it starts barking at the Terminator, which would have alerted Carl. Yeah. Which is why he manages to escape and, hops in the truck and all that.
Yeah.
Which I thought was very clever, because they don't put any, sort of emphasis on it. They just have the dog barking. Because Carl would have been instantly up. He would be waking up at every dog bark.
Definitely, yeah.
So I think this is very clever, but it's very subtle.
So the chase goes on for a while. During the chase, I think Kyle gets hit or something. He's out of it a little bit.
Oh, he gets a little shot up.
Just a couple bullets.
Yeah, he'll be fine.
Yeah, easy. He'll brush it off, It doesn't even need a dressing.
There's a great moment where I think it's Arnie's bike or something goes flying, and then he just scrapes across the road.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, he gets knocked off the motorcycle, and then Sarah and Kyle's truck flips over.
And then he jumps in that oil tanker and then just drives it straight at them.
Yeah, that's pretty great.
Kyle chucks an explosive in the tanker. It all blows up, and you think he's dead for a while. You think Arnie's gone for about 2 minutes.
I feel like this is also like the first James Cameron kind of fourth act structure, that he does this in Aliens, he does this in True Lies, where everything is okay, and there's the queen xenomorph is coming after us, or they kidnapped Arnold's daughter in True Lies. Like this is where he falls in love with, like, I'm gonna make everybody think the credits are about to roll, happy ending, and then no, shit's not over yet. And so then we get gorgeous stop motion animation.
Oh yeah. Coming out of the fire and chasing them.
Hell yeah.
Does it look good? What do you think? What do you think, Robert? Is it good? Does it not hold up?
It doesn't look realistic at all.
Yeah.
But for stop motion, and I mean, I'm a fan of stop motion. I'm all good with that. For the time, this was probably their best bet. And they use practical whenever they can, when it's like a close up of the feet going in the ground, or when it's certain things you can tell when they're just they have an actual animatronic or whatever in certain shots. But for those wide shots, there's not really a whole lot else they could have done. I can't imagine what they could have pulled off, especially on the budget that they had at this point.
And considering the budget as well, it does look a bit better than the stop motion that we saw in like Ghostbusters as well. There were some moments in Ghostbusters that just aren't quite there. So it did look pretty good.
I think they did well.
Is there stop motion in T2? I don't think so. That's all the liquid effects, isn't it?
I think it's pretty much all CG. That was like the first big blockbuster to really land CG before Jurassic Park and things like that. But yeah.
So we think that he's dead. He isn't. He comes out of the flames. He's now full Terminator. It's a great moment. They run away. They hide in a factory. And Kyle, he's really, really not doing well. And as we mentioned at the start, Sarah's like, "Get up, soldier." It's a great moment.
It's good because she's smart. She's appealing to his training, because he's not running on anything at the moment. He's running on zero. Tank's empty. He doesn't need the brain to work at this point. He just needs his training to kick in, to just keep moving,
Yeah. Complete the mission. On your feet, soldier.
And he does end up sacrificing himself as well for Sarah. How does that play out?
Yeah, so they go into the factory. They turn the machinery on to confuse the Terminator. So he throws the pipe bomb into the Terminator's tummy, basically, where it's exposed.
In his tum-tum.
He gives him a little bit of indigestion.
Yes.
And then, explodes. As you do when you have indigestion. That's how it works, right?
Yes.
Very gassy.
Yeah. Then explodes, and then Kyle is out. And the Terminator is still going, which I love that he had that whole monologue about they will not stop. This is all they do. They will not sleep. So now we have a Terminator torso that's just like crawling towards Sarah. Basically, as Kyle was just running on like fumes at this point. It's really intense. That it's just like clawing after her. Literally. Getting her within its grasp for the first time before she takes some action and terminates him, which I love. That's the big hero moment that she gets with the hydraulic press.
You're terminated, motherfucker.
Yeah, exactly. Love it.
Yeah. Oh, it's so good. Yeah, I love just how relentless it is, particularly in this final 20 minutes. It's just constant. Right. It's good. It is really good. Yeah.
I love it. He sacrificed himself to blow him up, but oh no, he's still coming.
Yeah.
His sacrifice, no. But then they just barely, she's literally about to be choked to death by the Terminator as she presses him. And even then the press takes a while to crush this machine because it's so tanky.
Ironic. Machine taken out by a machine.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And now that she's won, we cut to the future. We see that she's pregnant. She's got a dog as well, as you mentioned before. The dog to be on the lookout.
Got to get those dogs.
And she is recording tapes for John Connor, and it ends with her getting her picture taken, which is a nice moment. And also the line, there's a storm coming, and her response is, "Yeah, I know," which is good, which is a good moment as well.
But she also knows the future is not set. So there's still hope, I guess, too, which I like.
Exactly.
Yeah. You know what they say? Dogs, robots' worst friend.
It's true.
That's the
That is
That's what people say.
that is famously what they say.
Yes, correct.
And that is the movie. That is the Terminator. Quite a long synopsis there, but look, it's one of the biggest movies of the year. So
It's great. It's great. This is definitely one of our longer synopsises, but this is probably the best movie we've seen.
I don't know if I would. Well, is this better than Ghostbusters? I don't know. Personally, I would probably watch this more than I would go back to Ghostbusters. So I think this might be my favorite film of the year. Yeah, I don't know.
It's definitely mine for sure. Although Ghostbusters is pretty great. Let's not diss on Ghostbusters. Ghostbusters is pretty great.
No, it's excellent.
But
It's a 5-star movie.
I don't know. Yeah, no. Now that I'm thinking about it, Ghostbusters or Terminator, those are two really juggernauts. So I'll be undecided whether either one of them's better than the other, because they're different genres as well.
I mean, technically, from a filmmaking standpoint, I think Amadeus is probably the better film out of all of these. But from a nostalgic blockbuster point of view, it is between those two, definitely.
Yeah. Amadeus is great and all, but I definitely prefer these two. I'll go with Terminator for now, just because I've seen it more recently.
So the way that we wrap these up, Rob, is we usually either rate it an oldie or a goodie. But I'm going to put forward right here and let me know what you think. This is better than a goodie.
No, I agree. I mean, this is a classic. There's a reason that people are still trying to recapture what Cameron created here, and that's because it's so compelling. Like we said, like we've been talking about, there's elements of horror, there's elements of sci-fi. It makes you think and gives you a headache when you try and figure out the time travel logic of it all.
Yeah.
There's the cautionary tale with the machines and how we're getting pretty close to 2029. Are we heading in this direction? Nuclear war and all that stuff.
Christmas is coming early this century. So far, so good. Am I right?
Yeah, I know. So no, this is it's a great movie. And the only reason I haven't revisited it more over the years is probably because I just usually go to Terminator 2 if I'm watching a Terminator movie, and in comparison to Ghostbusters, where clearly I'm going to go with Ghostbusters over Ghostbusters 2 any day of the week. So I think that's why in the Ghostbusters versus Terminator, I'd be Ghostbusters and then Terminator 2.
Yeah, for sure.
That's the thing. I think this franchise is a landmark movie franchise in the fact that the second movie is so good.
It is.
Like, sequels almost never have just the insane amount of, this is, like, really good. Like, almost and the debate of which is the better movie, the first or the second, is almost unheard of.
Well, yeah. Yeah.
I said almost unheard of.
It is, because, like, at this point, the only two big sequels that I can think of that were better than the first one was probably Godfather 2 and Empire Strikes Back.
Yeah.
Aside from that, it really was unheard of. And the fact that Terminator 2, a 2.5-hour-long movie with so many concepts, and it's also very violent, became such a massive hit is pretty incredible.
Yeah. And this was back in the day where sequels weren't just handed out left and right. Not everything got a sequel. This was still when that was rare, and if it was made, it was kind of inherently assumed to be just a cash grab, or the 700 Police Academy movies they released in the 80s.
Imagine having lots of sequels that were all cash grabs for a franchise. What? Imagine.
Right?
Yeah, that's true. I love that there's 10 Friday the 13th movies and they're all parodies of the first one.
To be fair, as you said, they get really bad, but then they start taking themselves not anywhere near seriously, and then they start becoming quite good again.
That's true. So I think the Terminator here does get our Better Than a Goodie award, which for some reason is called the Where's Ron Jeremy award this year. I don't know why. Listen to the Ghostbusters episode, because Ron Jeremy was in Ghostbusters, and then we were like, we need to name an award after this. What is it? Where's Ron Jeremy? There we go. So.
Yep.
The Terminator gets I think it's the 4th Where's Ron Jeremy award, because it also went to Gremlins and Amadeus, so.
Nice.
I also want to point out that this also could get the Dead Dad award.
Sequel time. Usually we pitch a sequel, but there are so many sequels to this movie that we just might not do it. My pitch is they make Terminator 2 and then they stop. That's my sequel pitch.
Yeah, right?
Or maybe make Sarah Connor Chronicles as well, but give it an actual ending instead of ending it on a cliffhanger. Maybe that's another good sequel idea.
I feel like if this was a more recent franchise, that they would have just done like a Netflix series or something.
Yeah.
After the second one, we're like, yeah, we're gonna take it in that direction.
Oh man, a Terminator Netflix series would be great.
Well, because Dark Fate didn't do very well, so they probably would bring it back in TV rather than in film if they were to bring back Terminator anytime soon.
Yeah, I would think so.
Who owns the rights to Terminator? Is it Warner Brothers?
I feel like Dark Fate was Warner Brothers
Yeah, it's like a HBO.
because it's gotten passed around quite a bit. The franchise rights were sort of up for grabs at one point. Oh, actually, it looks like Fox.
Oh, this is a Disney property.
But Paramount in North America, Fox internationally has Dark Fate.
So maybe Disney Plus miniseries.
Maybe, yeah.
Disney Plus.
Right after Frozen, you watch Terminator.
Yeah.
There you go.
Mine's definitely, it opens up with a RoboCop Arnold Schwarzenegger in a helicopter flying over a distant planet with these flying blue aliens around. But then suddenly, like, a cloaked ship appears and starts shooting up people. But then, so RoboCop goes over in the helicopter and, like, starts battling this Predator in the ship. Meanwhile, the blue alien people, chest bursters, just start popping out. And then, of course, Elsa shows up.
What?
Well, it's owned by Disney, right?
All connected.
Oh, dude, but then Darth Vader shows up.
And Sam Jackson wants to recruit him for the Avengers.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, Disney do own the rights to Terminator. They definitely own the rights for Alien and Predator because they're Fox as well. They own the rights to all of these. Avatar is Fox.
So is Avatar. Yeah.
The Terminator's a Disney princess.
If you had to come up with the sequel, Robert, are there any ideas? Where would you want them to take the franchise?
Oh, yeah.
Well, it's hard to see a sequel to this is Terminator 2, so that's a given.
Yeah, definitely.
We're not going to change that. Beyond that, again, I feel like we already have 4 possible outcomes, and I feel like the most longevity would have been in the TV route. But at this point, I kind of just want them to go balls to the wall and throw everything together. Like I said, I think just even if it's in another medium, I don't even know how that would work.
Theater.
But I want to see them try because they've literally tried everything else.
Did you just say theater?
Yes, I did
just
say
like-
theater, and I stand by those words.
There is a Toxic Avenger musical, so there could be a Terminator one as
Yeah,
well. Who knows?
I would. Oh my god, a musical of Terminator would be amazing.
I'll Be Back would turn into like a power ballad,
Oh.
like on Let It Go level. I'll be back. I'll be back. Something. I would be down for something different because it's every movie there. Like Terminator 3 tries to do Terminator 2 again, but worse. And then Salvation tried to do the Future War, and that didn't work.
Yeah.
Then Genesis tried to really make things complicated, and that didn't work. So then they were like, okay, we'll bring Cameron back. We'll bring Linda Hamilton back. That'll fix it, right? And then everyone was like, no, it's too late. We're done. So I don't know. I would like to see them do something that, again, ignores all the sequels after too.
Yeah.
Set in this world, but not about Sarah or John Connor. Just like set in this universe. I feel like that's the only way to proceed from here.
Yeah.
Yeah, I would like to see them try 4 again, but not bad. I don't know. I'd like to see, like, just after post-apocalyptic sort of thing.
yeah.
With just, like, random new characters. Like, nothing to do with John Connor or another. It's just, like, survivors.
Yeah, although for that, they would have to have flashbacks to the flashback in Dark Fate, which is another Arnie kills the Arnie that kills John.
It's time for raving reviews.
Oof.
Wow, that was hard to say in that voice. It's a part of the show where I get some reviews from Rotten Tomatoes, the place where you find all the best reviews, but specifically audience reviews because critics don't know what they're talking about.
It's rude.
So we're gonna get some audience reviews, and I'm gonna tell you the review, and your job is to guess the score that they gave it. Because this is a guest episode, it's going to be a competition between you two to try and figure who can guess the right scores the mostest.
I always lose.
Because you're bad.
It's between 0.5 and 5 as well. So 0.5 is
Yes,
in there.
that was the last thing I was going to say. So is the lowest score you can have is 0.5, and the highest is 5 out of 5. Anywhere in between is also fine, except for like 0.7s. That doesn't make any sense.
What? Why would you bring that up?
To confuse them. All right, so this segment's all about confusion and misleading. So first, I'm going to tell you, Sarah. She says, for action fans only.
Huh. I'm going to go for a 3 out of 5, I think.
See, I was gonna say that, but now I feel like I'm just gonna be copying Sandro if I say 3.
You can go for 3.
You can say 3. You can always tie on it.
No, you know what? Just gonna throw out 2.5.
Okay.
Ooh.
I think Sarah's very wrong, but whatever.
Yeah. I also agree that Sarah is wrong, but it's an audience score, so it must be right because they're always correct. It's 2 out of 5.
2 out of 5.
It's 2 out of 5.
Ooh.
Yes.
All right.
Sarah did not like this movie.
Even maybe it's because of all the Sarahs that get killed in this movie.
Yeah. You know what? She's kind of biased. Yeah, that probably would have been a bit shocking for her. Unfortunate. Then we have Loke. He says, "Copied!" Explanation mark! Explanation mark! A lot of explanation marks. Yep.
What? Copy. What is this for?
Copied. Yep. That's the copied is in full caps explanation marks, and then just yep.
Well, I'm going to let Robert guess first.
4.5. Let's just.
Oh, wow.
I'm gonna say that he seems very enthusiastic
He is very enthusiastic.
with his all caps and his exclamation point.
I'm going to go 2. I think it's negative.
No, it's 5 out of 5.
Okay.
You were right.
Oh, I almost went 5.
You should have gone the 5 out of 5. Kyle says, my 4th favorite Terminator movie.
Huh.
Ooh.
That's an interesting rating.
Controversial Kyle over
Because
here.
Kyle gets killed in this movie? Like, what's up with the people named after the characters?
It's almost like I saw their names as like, well, now I have to put their review in here.
Yeah.
Right? Sandra, did you want to go first on this, or do you want me to take it?
Yeah, come on, Sandro.
Yeah, sure. Ooh, 3.5.
I'm going to go 2, because 4th favorite Terminator movie when the other Terminator movies are Terminator 3, Salvation, Dark Fate, Genesis. I mean, I'm like,
Yeah.
that's a pretty low bar if that's the way we're going.
It's 4 out of 5, though. He really
wow.
enjoyed it. It's just...
Wow.
Yeah. This person didn't have a username, and they said, the worst movie I've ever seen. I've seen 60,000 movies, and this one is so bad.
I mean, if it's not a 0.5, it's false advertising, because I question the ranking system, so I'm going to say 0.5.
Okay, all right.
All right, I'll go 1.
So it's 0.5.
Yeah,
There
yeah.
we go. Well done.
Yes.
But this is why this one doesn't have like a big 100%. It's because of people like this. Then we have Garen says, the Terminator would be fun if not for the gore and the disturbing action.
Ooh. Okay.
Disturbing.
Disturbing.
Meanwhile, we spent like 15 minutes being like, that eye scene, what was so awesome. How he ripped
Yeah.
his eye out.
Yeah.
Nah, disgusting. Can't have gore and action in this movie. We gotta take all the gore and action out.
Exactly. This sounds like someone who would review it on Common Sense Media.
Yeah, it does.
Rotten Tomatoes.
Sandro, what do you think?
I'm going to say 3, because I think it's still relatively positive.
Yeah, I was going to go 3.5.
3.5. It's a 1 out of 5.
Oof.
All this gore and disturbing action,
gosh.
guys. You shouldn't have it in your movies.
I guess.
And then we have another blank username. Possibly the same person. Who knows? Where it began. A reminder of where it should have stayed.
Nice.
Ooh, that sounds like more of a critique of everything else that came after it. So I'm going
Yeah.
to say 4.5.
Ooh, I was going to go 4.5. I think I'm just going to go 5 out of 5, you know. Let's see what happens.
Ooh, it's 4 out of 5. You guys were
Ooh.
so close. You guys were so close. All right. And finally, I'll leave it with the best and worst review that I hated was by Azure. And they say, I love it. I just want to ruin the 100%. Lol.
Wow.
Wow, what a dick. Jeez.
Yes.
Um,
So they want to ruin the 100%, But that's the critics 100%.
Yeah, exactly.
Right.
So they couldn't even ruin the 100% even if they tried. So what do you think this person rated this?
Oh, it's 0.5, isn't it? It's got to be 0.5.
Right.
I have a feeling that it's a 4.5. They want to ruin the 100% by just being like a little bit off, just like this person's logic. So I'm gonna go 4.5.
It's 1 out of 5.
Oh, okay.
It's 1 out of 5. So Sandro was close.
Wow.
Yeah. What? What is this review?
It's not good.
They love the movie. They just don't like it having such a high score. What? What?
They're an agent of chaos. You know, that's how it happens.
This is why there are critic reviews and audience
And
scores.
So
They're
the
separate.
final scores is Sandro with 0 and Rob with 1. So congratulations, Rob. You are the winner of this segment. Well done. Yay.
Very good job. Very good job.
Thank you.
Well done.
And that is the
Once again,
episode.
keeping the spirit alive of the segment of Sandro losing.
Yeah, it's true. We got a lot of guest episodes coming up soon. Am I going to win in any of them? Probably not. We'll
Yeah,
see.
we'll see.
That is the episode, though, right there. Thank you so much for listening, as always. It was a longer one, but also a very fun one, so I hope that you enjoyed the episode. If you like the show, number one way to help out is tell a friend. Be like, hey, friend, Terminator, listen to this. And your friend will be like, ooh. We're on every podcast app. We're on Facebook, Instagram, all the stuff, all the links in the description. Robert, where can people find the Crooked Table podcast again if they want to check it out?
CrookedTable.com, also Apple Podcasts, Spotify, most of the places where you're listening to this, I'm probably on there, so check it out.
Awesome. And you're on Instagram as well, right?
I am, at Crooked Table on Instagram.
Fantastic. Check all that out. Links in the description. Thank you so much for joining us.
Yeah, thanks guys for having me. This was a blast.
This was awesome.
Definitely, yeah. And yeah, we'll definitely get you on again at some point. Zach, you are picking next week's episode.
Ooh, all right. Well, give me these options. Let me listen to some of these bad boys.
Number one option is called A Private Function. It is set in the 40s in a small English town. They want to throw a party to celebrate a wedding, but there's food rationing going on. It stars Monty Python's Michael Palin.
Ooh.
And Maggie Smith's also in it.
Ah, all right. Okay.
You have got The Killing Fields, a very well-regarded movie from '84. It's based off real events, follows a journalist covering the Colombian Civil War.
Oh yeah, I think I've heard of this movie.
And then you've also got Razorback, which is probably on the complete opposite spectrum of Killing Fields. It's an Australian horror film about a man who wants to get revenge on a giant pig that killed his wife.
All right.
So you've got a British comedy set in the 40s about food rationing. You've got what is considered one of the better films of '84, and then you've got an Australian horror about a pig.
Absolutely the horror pig. Give me horror pig. Yes. Give me the Australian horror pig.
Next week, Razorback, awesome. Great. Very much looking forward to it.
Yeah.
Is this our first Australian movie? I think it might be. We've done a lot of like Australian directors, but not an Australian production.
Hell yeah. This is what I want to represent Australia, this movie.
All right, well, we do wrap it up with the best quote from the Terminator. Robert, what have you got?
Well, I feel like I need to end it with the way I started it with, fuck you, asshole.
How about you, Zach?
I'm going to go with I'll be back. Because we'll be back next week with the next episode.
It's true.
That's true.
This is appropriate.
And I'm going to wrap it up with not a quote that anyone remembers, but personally my favorite quote, which is, of course, guard it for me, big buns.
There it is.